Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends. Now for something completely different. This is your horror host for today, the Dark Librarian, and I'm here for Bizarre Brain Comics. This is where I'm here to tell you tales of terror. uh, and our terror tome we're going to look at this time is Secrets of Haunted House, number 8. And this fits in nicely with the booktube booktube reading event for May, which is Horror Mayhem. And oh, that will come back to haunt us again this month. Yes, it will. Yes, Secrets of Haunted House, number 8. Oh, here, this looks like I can't find a name, a signature for the cover artist of this issue, but it looks like it's probably Mike Kaluta, who did a wonderful job with this type of material. His style just lends itself so well to the horror and fantasy aspects. Okay, now Secrets of Haunted House, number 8, from 1977. Secrets of Haunted House is a horror mystery title from DC Comics, published from 1975 to 1982 for a total of 46 issues. And it featured DC horror hosts Cain, Abel, Eve, Destiny, and Lucian. And the title was temporarily a victim of the DC explosion in '78, and was revived a year later. Is picking up with the next one, and so that's what we've got here to look at. So most of these horror anthologies like this were featured to 3 or 4 stories in them, but this one actually has two stories. It's just a little bit on the longer side, and it says, and our cover title is "Raise the Devil If You Dare." And of course, we have a splash page, which is featuring our horror hosts. That does Cain and Abel that must be Eve, and they are in a boat suspended as a gondola. It's a gondola type boat. Depended from a hot air balloon, or maybe it's a gas balloon, who knows. And notice the bats and the vultures flying around the boat, and they are flying over Transylvania, admiring the castles and the forests and such. And of course, Abel is a little bit on the airsick side. He was supposed to start the stories, but he couldn't do it. So so is this? I think it must be Eve. She tells the first story, which is Raising the Devil, and this is plotted by Mike Pawlowski, with script by E. Nelson Bridwell, art by Bernard Bailey and Win Mortimer. And unfortunately, their art style is not as attractive as the Mike Kaluta cover. I mean, it's perfectly fine. They're fine artists. It's just that it doesn't have the creepy quality that Kaluta would convey. And so here, this is every week. this couple gets together, or so every week or so, gets together, and they try various conjuring spells, trying to that they can come across and find, try to conjure up a demon to do their bidding, but to no avail, no luck. And here's where they're talking about what they would do if they got the right demon, and it shows a variety of hypothetical demons, and they would, give them power and stuff. And then, but both these couples have children. One a boy, one a girl. They have children who are occupying a different part of the house while the adults are engaged in this activity. But the mothers the parents have them say, "All right, come along, do as I tell you," and that becomes kind of a running gag. Is do what I tell you to the kids, and they're going home afterwards, and they're talking more about not that they necessarily want to. The fear that what if we get something we can't control and something terrible is let loose on the world. He says, no, that can't happen. Not if we do it right. And we would then, be able to get jewels or gold, or be able to turn invisible and steal anything we wanted to with impunity and stuff like that. And well, one of the men who's constantly haunting old bookstores looking for something. And here's one. This is one, and it's handwritten on old parchment, a medieval grimoire I've never heard of before. Why, I'll bet this is the only copy. He gets it, goes home, and they set up for another encounter, and they're going to try to they take the kid along, and they said, okay, you kids go up and play. Now do as I tell you. And so they get set up following the rules of it set up in the grimoire, and they sit there and they try it, and then something does happen, and here comes this demon come whooshing up. Oh, that's it, we've done it. Doesn't match the description in the book, but who cares? Goes up, but it doesn't stay within their pentagram. It goes up through the ceiling. Oh my gosh, the children are upstairs in that room, and they rush upstairs. What might it, if it's free of the pentagram, what might it do to the children? And they get up there, and turns out the kids were doing the same thing, and they were successful while their adults weren't. It says, "You're my slave. Do as I tell you." And now the parents are, the kids have the power, and what's going to become of us? So now the kids have the muscle to push their parents around a bit. And I have a hunch those little imps are going to make the old folks really hop, because if they balk, there'll be the devil to pay. And then there's a single page gag, as they often did, which provided a lot of the humor for these, which is one of the reasons why I really like the horror host, even though this doesn't really involve the horror host. But this is about witches. There's a cute little thing. Boom, zoom, zoom. And this is by Manek, who had been doing one of the creators in Plop, along with Sergio and others. And speaking of Sergio, we're coming to our second story, The Strange Case of the Sloop San Mateo. And the story was written by Sergio Aragones, who normally, of course, does the humor stuff. Sergio. But the English words, which mean the script and everything, was done by Steve Skeets. And this one is being told by Kane. It says, and this is in the Gulf of Mexico. And sir, there's a boat off the starboard side. This is apparently a come on, Coast Guard. Coast Guard ship. And they find a boat, a sloop called San Mateo. And this is drawn by Romeo Tangle and Bob Smith. And it's a ghost ship. There's absolutely no one aboard, and they take it in, and now we learn the backstory that the captain of that boat had been out previously, and he was a crotchety guy. He was out, and he come in the fog, thinking his skills are up to sailing in the fog. He come too close to a rocky coast of some island, and damages his boat. Cracks in part of the hull, and he was taking on water, but he got back okay. He got in port, the boat in dry dock, and getting bids for the repair on the boat, and it's just way too much. So he said, "I'll do it myself." And there happens to be not far away a wreck of an old beached ship, and he goes there, and he starts swiping some of the boards, some of the parts from the hull and stuff. When this other old man, old salt, comes up and tells him the story. "Oh, you shouldn't do that. It's not a good idea." And he tells the story of this ship was at one time a slave ship on the triangular, what did they call it? Triangular trade between North America, Europe, and Africa. And there many times had been times when the cargo had been dumped during the period when it was illegal, and that meant the senseless, horrendous slaughter of many chained slaves. And then the boat was refitted for other purposes after that, but it was always haunted by the ghosts of the dead slaves, causing people to jump overboard and die in many horrendous ways. Well, that captain, he doesn't believe all that hokum. He goes on and someone else tells a story, also continues the story. Someone else had gone on the ship and tried to take parts, and part of the ship collapsed and killed him. So, it doesn't matter, I'm going to do it anyway. So he fixes his boat, and he goes back out to sea on his boat, having a good old time. Said, "Here's to the Oreo and the Kaya Ora," which are the names of the original names of the ship, "and the San Mateo." And in the process, he gets roaring drunk, and the boom gets lowered on him, and there are the ghosts of those dead slaves coming, grabbing him, and taking him away to the depths with them. And then that's why the San Mateo was found as a ghost ship. And that is all the stories here in this issue of Secrets of Haunted House number 8 from 1977. Some nice spooky stuff. They always have various degrees of quality in these, but overall I love them all. I just wish I had gotten more at the time, but I wasn't so much interested in them at the time until decades later. Because I really like this stuff, and of course it still has that great Mike Kaluta cover. So that's all I had to share with you. I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Tell me how much you love this title, if at all. I think this is the only issue I've got from this title, and or any of the other spooky terror tomes from the Bronze Age, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, or Charlton Comics. All that good stuff. Let me know. And remember, comics are art.